So one of the most popularly asked questions that a lot of my subscribers and a lot of students in political science want to know and ask is, what chapters do you have to do from Oxford Companion to Politics, and which are perhaps the most important chapters? So this video is going to be about that, and I am also going to tell you how to go about reading the Oxford Companion to Politics. So the first chapter that you have to get down to doing as soon as you get your hands on this great book called The Oxford Companion to Politics is to start off with the last chapter, chapter number 37, and it's called An Intellectual History of the Study of Indian Politics by Susan and Lloyd Rudolph. This chapter is so important that I have actually made 2 different videos on it, just discussing the intellectual history and tradition of political science. The links are in the description down below. You can go check it out. So the trick to doing this book is to not start off with the first chapter, but to start off with the second last chapter by Susan and Lloyd Rudolph, because that gives you a very accurate description about the evolution of political science, and it also discusses the key names that are associated with this discipline. The second chapter that you have to get down to doing starts from the beginning. This is called The State by Partha Chatterjee. So this also, I cannot stress on how important this chapter is, because eventually political science is at the end of the day a study about the state and the power structures that govern it. So this chapter discusses the Indian state, and it's very important. The more times you read it, the more you will understand it. So this is also not a chapter that you can just read in one go and understand, but you have to sit down, make notes, read it at least 3 to 4 times to actually get the hang of what is happening. A lot of important concepts are being discussed in it, which are going to be relevant till your masters, and even after your masters. Concepts like passive revolution and all of those things which are relevant in the Indian context. The next chapter that you can get down to doing is Constitutionalism. This is chapter number 2 by Uday S. Mehta. The next is going to be Parliament. This is chapter number 3 by Vernon Hewitt and Shireen M. Rai. The next is chapter number 4. This is Federalism by Subrata Mitra. The next is going to be Supreme Court by Lavanya Rajamani and Arghya Sengupta. Again, chapter number 6, the Supreme Court, which is page number 80, is super important because it is covering and it is giving you a brief and a very relevant discussion about how there were multiple cases and what are the most relevant cases that have been fought in the Supreme Court, and how they have led to certain structures, and also structures like the basic structure of the Constitution and so on and so forth. So this is again a very important chapter. You can star mark it, you have to do it, there is no other way around it. The trick to doing this chapter is that you probably again wouldn't understand it if you just read it once. So you have to read it at least 3 to 4 times. And after doing that, you have to make a list of the key judgments. So these judgments by the Supreme Court have basically acted as junctures, and you have to make a list of those judgments, and you have to keep in mind what exactly is important about them, what is not important about them, because a lot of the questions again in your competitive papers are asked from judgments that have been talked about in this chapter. The next is going to be chapter number 8, The Party System by E. Sridharan. So the next we are going to discuss is part 2 of the book, which talks about social cleavages, identity and politics. So you can start off with chapter number 9 by John Harris, which talks about class and politics. You can then talk about chapter number 10, which discusses caste and politics by Surinder S. Jodhkar. After that, we can discuss chapter number 14, which talks about the Hindu nationalists and power. This is by Christophe Jaffrelot. In part number 3 of the book, which talks about political processes, please start off with chapter number 16, called Political Parties by Zoya Hassan. After that, you can go on to chapter number 17, called Politics and Culture by Stuart Corbridge. In part 4 of the book, which talks about ideological contestations in Indian politics, you can start off with chapter number 22, called Secularism by Meera Chandok. Again, this is page number 33. The chapter is Secularism by Meera Chandok. It is super important. You have to do it. There is no escape, and it's a very well written chapter. And if you just go through it 3 to 4 times, this is really going to help you in all your papers related to Indian politics. The next that you can read is going to be Representation by Yogendra Yadav. After that is part number 5, which talks about social movements and civil society. In this, you have to discuss and go through chapter number 26, called Farmers' Movements by Sudha Pai. Chapter number 27 talks about the women's movement by Anupama Roy, and you should definitely go through that. Part number 6 of the book talks about politics and policy. You can start off by reading chapter number 29, which is called The Political Economy of the State by Divish Kapoor. You can go on to chapter number 32, which talks about the political economy of reforms by Rahul Mukherjee. You can then go on to chapter number 33, called Politics and Redistribution by Atul Kohli. So that is it. That is the list of chapters that you have to refer to while you are doing this book, and I have discussed the most important ones. Now I am going to discuss how you have to go about reading this book. As I've already stated, the more number of times you actually go through these chapters, the clearer the concepts become. So you have to go through these several times, and you have to make notes out of the important things I've mentioned. For example, in chapters related to Supreme Court, you have to know where the junctures arrived that led to changes and constitutional amendments. You have to know the times, you have to know the cases, because those are again popularly asked questions. In chapters like the state, you have to remember key terms like passive revolution, so on and so forth. The last thing I want to say is that this is a brief list of chapters that you can do before your papers, and they are relevant. And I sat down with my friends and we made this list of chapters that we thought were relevant. So we are not saying that you don't have to do the entire book. You can go ahead and do it if you feel comfortable and you feel that you have the time for it. But if you feel that you have less time and there is probably some kind of a shortage and not enough resources, then you can just stick to this list of chapters. I don't think in Indian politics anything that they ask you would be outside the ambit covered by these chapters. So that was it for today. I hope you guys found this useful because a lot of subscribers wanted and asked me questions related to Oxford Companion of Politics. So I was like, let's just quickly go over it and let's try to make the most of it. So in case you guys did find this video useful, please don't forget to comment. You can subscribe, you can also like the video, and I think that's it. Thank you for watching.